So today we're here, Sunday, September the 8th, 2024 at 1:50 p.m. And today we're here to interview a gentleman about his interactions and his appearances and his activities throughout the Pahrump Justice Court. So hello today, sir. Thank you very much for your time. Why don't you identify yourself, or tell us your name?
My name is Gregory Dankowski. For many years, people knew me as Gregory Dan. 3 years ago, at my dad's deathbed, he wanted me to change it to his last name, so I did. But as legalities go, my name right now is Dankowski, my last name.
I see that you're on obviously a oxygen concentrator. So you obviously have some type of disability or injury. Why don't you share a little bit about what all that is involved?
I was in construction all my life, and part of my jobs, I ended up at Nevada test site working underground in multiple locations where there was a lot of rock dust. Also, I worked Yucca Mountain job at the proposed nuclear repository, and there was a lot of rock dust in there when they were boring the hole, which I was part of. And when you breathe sufficient amounts of rock dust, you come down with a disease called silicosis, and that's what I have. I have silicosis.
So this disability that you have, I'm assuming that you receive assistance from various organizations and entities?
Correct. I'm presently been classified as having multiple occupational diseases by the Department of Labor through the EEOI-CPA Act of the United States of America. I've been in this program the Department of Labor has for ex-Cold War patriots, they call them, for about 3 years now. And the government takes care of me as best as they can.
Okay. Do you get assistance from various other people throughout helping you with your disease?
Correct. I'm glad you asked that. I sure do. The government has hired a company, a home health care company, similar to what a hospice company does, and I have a caseworker. I have, present time, I have 2 RNs that visit me. I also have a respiratory therapist that comes and visits me. The RNs come weekly, the respiratory therapist comes weekly, and I've had different home health care assistants that help me perform things that I have to do. And at the present time, that job, my wife's doing that for me to help me as a home health care person.
Okay. Well, it seems like you have a lot of people coming to assist you, because it sounds like you have some serious and detrimental health conditions that have befallen you.
Correct. I'm better than most. I'm being 67. Most of my friends have died of cancer working at the test site. I'm one of the few that's left. I don't know what else to say other than they're trying to keep me alive and they're doing a good job. And I wouldn't want this in anybody, but in those days people have to realize that we were patriots. The nuclear weapons testing in the Nevada desert was accomplished because people loved this country and they did what they had to do, and a lot of us were radiated. I do have other occupational diseases from the test site. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but other than that, there's other things that are on my list of occupational diseases.
So it appears that a large part of your disabilities involve your ability to breathe and take in enough oxygen in order to keep your organs and your mental capacities and all that stuff at premium shape. So why don't you explain just briefly how this is affecting your ability to cognitively think all the time?
Well, the main thing that people will, when they see me, they'll always see I carry this book. This book, I need this book. I can't remember a lot of things. I become confused. This sorts all of my life out in this book. And for instance, you asked about my breathing. I have what they call obstructive sleep apnea. I have bradycardia, and I have hypoxemia. And I have silicosis. Those are my conditions that the DOL has approved and classifies me under. Last Thursday, as a matter of fact, when my respiratory therapist was here, and when she shows up, I have to do a 6-minute walk that the Department of Labor requests every time she shows up to monitor my oxygen levels and how I'm walking and talking. During the walk, my oximeter read 81, which is way low, and I started to get dizzy, and my respiratory therapist told me immediately to stop walking and go sit down. I feel my situation is degrading. I'm not getting any better. My RNs have told me there's no cure for what's wrong with you. It's just going to be continually cognitive issues, memory issues, because of the oxygen deprivation.
Well, and in addition to that, being 67 years old, we start to lose some of our memories anyway. This just exacerbated it significantly.
Correct. Exactly. You couldn't have put it any better.
So we're gonna divert our attention and conversation away from your illnesses, because that is now very clearly established. Let's talk about the Pahrump Justice Court. Explain to everybody who's watching this video what you are supposedly charged with from the District Attorney of NYE County.
I being charged with some misdemeanors for throwing something out a window. I'm not sure what they're talking about. I think in one of the reports something about nails or glass or screws, or it's confused me. When they came to my front door, when I was with my nurse, and that somebody knocked on my door.
What day was this?
It was like on January 2nd, I think it was.
Of 2024?
2024 was
okay.
7 whatever months ago, whatever it was. And I was sitting here with my nurse talking about what we talk about. And there was a knock on my door, which is highly unusual because usually the gate's closed and locked, and I have dogs out. And when I went to the door, there were 3 deputies, not at the front door, which I thought was odd, if any. They were way back down the steps, and
the deputies were these Nye County Sheriff?
Yes,
deputies?
Nye County Sheriff, and they wanted to basically trying to coax me to come down there, saying, "Do I want to see a video?" And my response was, "No, I don't want to see any videos because." And he was saying, "Well, they're saying this about you," and I'm saying, "Well, people lie about me all the time. Even my own family lied about me 3 years ago in probate court."
Did the deputy tell you what date this might have occurred? Did he tell you what he was investigating?
I don't remember the conversation like that at all.
Did he identify himself?
Well, I don't remember. I just remember that I saw the uniforms. I saw 3 people. One of them was a female. And once I kind of saw where it was going, I turned around, walked from inside my house back to this seat where I'm at, exact same seat.
Okay.
My nurse was on the other side. They followed me in.
Did you invite him in?
No, I didn't.
So they entered your house just on their own?
They came on their own volition, and basically, "You're under arrest." I pulled out my money out of my pocket, my wallet, gave it to my nurse. I said, give it to my wife, I guess it was.
Did he say what he was arresting you for?
I don't think he did, now that I'm remembering.
Did he ever read you your Miranda rights?
No, never. The rights were never read to me. I don't even,
Did they allow you to have your nurse with you?
no.
Did you tell them that you had medical conditions? But they could see with the breathing machine you obviously
Yeah,
had.
I don't think, I didn't have this on when they showed up.
Did they allow you to take it with you?
Yeah, I did
Okay.
have it. I reached for it. They didn't say no. I took it. I took my pain medicine with me because that's constant, 24/7.
So you have pain 24/7
Oh yeah.
all the time?
Oh
Okay.
yeah, it never leaves.
Gotcha.
And they allowed me to take that, and they searched me, and we all went out, and then they drove me to the jail, and I sat in jail until my wife was allowed. They told my wife when she was trying to bail me out that the reason why it's taken so long because I was being quizzed, investigated by the detectives, which that never happened. I just sat in a room.
So you sat in a room in jail. Nobody came to question you.
Right.
Now, so they never really explained to you what was going on?
No, I was confused. They may have said something. Like I said, my mind's not right.
Did you recall the deputy, and I believe his name was Diaz, in the
Diaz,
report?
yeah.
Did he ask you about ownership of a vehicle?
Yes. Let's back up. When I first went to the door and I opened the door, I think the first thing he said was a question, and the question was, "Do you own a RAV4?" And I do own a RAV4. It was my dad's, and he gave it to me, and before he passed, and I said, "Yeah, And then when I said that, it kind of sent things in motion that were against me, and before I knew it, I was walking out the door with them to go. I was arrested.
And they never told you really what you were being charged with?
No.
So do you remember how long you were in jail?
It was hours. It wasn't. I didn't have to spend the night. It was a long, 4 hours, 5 hours, maybe 6 hours. I can't remember.
And you were in pain during this time?
Yeah, I even asked. You're correct. And I even asked the deputies, could I have some medicine, my pain medicine? And they said they weren't allowed to administer me pain medicine.
And this is medicine that was prescribed to you?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they don't need to really administer it, they just need to provide it to you so that you can go ahead and you administer it yourself?
Correct. I take it myself. As a matter of fact, tomorrow I'll be going to see my pain doctor and get another prescription.
Okay. So you were there 4, 5, maybe 6 hours, and then you were released to your wife.
Correct.
Did you have to post bond or bail?
Yes, my wife, she was I don't know if I want to say the word harassed, but they were very uncooperative with my wife. My wife was my wife's never bailed anybody out of jail. She doesn't know. My wife's naive on these matters.
Have you ever been in jail before?
I have. I will. Okay, I've been in jail 35 years ago or something it was. I got accused of attempted murder, and they came to my residence, they arrested me, and they threw me in jail, and I got a lawyer, and the day before court, the DA called my lawyer and says it all went away, don't go to court tomorrow, mister. It was just everything went away.
So obviously there wasn't anything
apparently we were ready to go to court to prove my innocence. They didn't want court.
And this was your father they were trying to accuse you of?
No, this was a previous.
Oh, wow.
This was previous. The last time I got it, twice this has happened to me. The last time was 3 years ago. The day my dad died, right, as a matter of fact, right over there.
Over there?
Yeah, right over there is where my dad died. And that's where I sleep now. And within an hour after having the deputies here, the hospice here and all that, I was told by the NYE County sheriffs in a rude manner that I'm being looked at for murdering my father, and I'm not going to have possession of his body. That's all. Everything's stopped. You're not getting his body. You're not burying him. You're not doing anything. You're getting investigated for murder. And that just threw me into a tailspin.
So you've had some issues with Nye County Sheriff.
Oh yeah, it's gone on a long time in this valley with me. Yes.
So let's get back to this case in particular. So you're released from jail, and you go ahead and hire yourself an attorney, a criminal defense attorney.
Correct.
In Vegas.
Correct.
What was the name of this attorney?
Robert Draskowicz.
Okay, and so let's talk about the proceedings and how they proceeded. So you have obviously had an initial hearing in court. Was your attorney present?
My attorney, I believe he showed up once, and it had to do with the. I hired him for two things: my protection order, extended protection order, that one of these people that live behind me sought. And I also for the criminal misdemeanors that I was arrested for. And he showed up on that first protection order thing. And I got an extended protection order. And as of right now, I have a lawyer, Mills and Anderson in Las Vegas. They've been there forever. Wednesday I have an appointment with my lawyers for this extended protection order. And we have a writ of mandamus that we're putting out because the district court, I believe, is in collusion with the justice court, and they're trying to stall me out or wait me out or whatever. It seems like there's some shenanigans going on, and they're just trying to stop me in my tracks.
Okay, let's get back to this case. So your attorney actually never presented himself in court on your criminal matter.
You know what? I don't want to be nailed to this, but I don't think so.
Okay, so you have an attorney who's licensed to practice law in the state of Nevada. You hired him as your defense attorney, and at no time does it look like he presented himself ever before the court. Now let's talk about the day that you pled. You pled no contest, correct?
Under duress, yes.
Under duress. So let's talk about what happened that day so that we can get a clear understanding of why you felt that you needed to say no contest.
I went to court with my wife the day you're supposed to plead.
Preliminary hearing.
Preliminary hearing, and my lawyer wasn't there, but
one of the public defenders.
Public defenders was there, and she got with me, introduced herself, very cordial, and we went into the back room. There's little rooms adjacent to the court.
Conference room.
Conference rooms, and we talked. And
now, where was your attorney? Was he present?
No, he wasn't even there.
So your attorney never showed up?
He wasn't even there. He was
Now, he was aware of the court date?
Yes. Oh, yeah, he was aware. She showed up, and...
Well, she's always there.
She's in and out. And basically how it came down was, my wife was on one side. Greg, she's crying. Let's just let this be over. It's a nightmare. We got all these problems with these neighbors. We've had problems with all our neighbors. Okay, I'm listening. And then on the other side of me, I have this part-time public defender who was very nice, and she's telling me, it'd be in your best interest, paraphrasing, to agree. And I said, well, if it's a no contest, I'll consider it because I'm not pleading guilty. That's not going to happen.
And you're not going to plead guilty because why?
Because I'm not the one. I'm not that person.
You didn't do any of this.
That's correct. And it came out eventually that, and she put the bug in my ear. They're probably going to lie about you. And I said, well, that's been going on out here forever. People lie about my wife. They lie about me.
So let me ask you this question. So you had this attorney that you hired. How much did you pay the attorney?
$7,500.
Okay, $7,500. He's never appeared in any of your criminal cases. You never hired this other lawyer. You never did a substitution of attorney. You never signed any forms. You never did any of that stuff, correct?
Prior to that date and prior, there was nothing like that at all. Correct.
And then, how long were you kept in the room for?
Alert phone
I don't know, it was maybe an hour, I can't remember. I can't remember how long I was in there.
So you had other, I believe our group, Journalists for Justice, we had a court observer there, and according to their report, it was over an hour and a half, and then they had to go to another courtroom for another proceeding that they were observing, and you were still there.
Okay,
So now you're there as a disabled person, without your attorney, on an oxygen machine,
correct.
obviously in pain,
I'm always in pain.
always in pain, under the influence of what type of pain medication?
Hydros,
Okay,
Yeah.
what level?
it's a 10. It's the highest level.
So it's the highest level hydrocodone
Yeah.
that you can take,
Right,
which affects your cognitive abilities as well. We understand this.
yes.
And so you just wanted to get it over with. Your wife was
Oh,
stressed
yeah.
out and everything else.
Oh, yeah.
So
She's
you went
crying.
ahead. You said, I did not do this, but I'll just not contest this if there's some kind of fine or whatever, and I can just
I
get
want
on
it
with
to
my
go
life.
away.
I can get on with my life
Yeah.
because I already have enough health problems and limited
Correct.
lifespan expectancy. I just don't need this.
Correct. Yeah, that's exactly, you nailed it. My health is diminishing. I gotta think about my wife. I can't, we just came through a nasty thing with my family because they wanted my dad's money. And the courts listened to my lying family and drugged me through some shit that I shouldn't have been through. But yeah,
So now let's get back to. So you now have pled no contest multiple times. They tried to say, if I understand correctly, that it's a guilty plea, but you reminded them multiple times it's no contest. What did you say to the court when they said, "Do you understand the charges against you, and do you understand you're pleading today? What that means?"
I did. There were a few things where the judge, Vito, asked me, and I said I understand. But there was one point, and I'm gonna get that, where it totally confuses me, and I think I raised my hands and I go, I don't understand, and the person representing me, the public defender, she just showed up. She looked at me, and then she went back to the court.
Question. At any time during this proceeding, when you're on your oxygen machine, you're saying you're confused, you're kept in a room for more than an hour and a half, and you're obviously significantly have disabilities, and you even have a special white card, correct?
I have the white card from the Department of Labor. What anybody knows the program knows what a white card is. If you don't, get a hold of the Department of Labor. But I also have another card issued by the state of Nevada for to expedite all my state issues.
All your state issues. You go into any government office in the state of Nevada, you are a priority. You
Correct.
must be handled correctly, and you must be given your due process, correct?
That is correct.
So now, when you said all this stuff, did the court stop what it was doing to make sure that you truly understood what was happening?
Oh no, they just railroaded right over me, it kind of felt that way the other day when I went to court. Was it Thursday? We went to court.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, okay.
So then you, shortly thereafter, you remembered something finally.
Oh yeah, when I went to court that day, it was impressed upon me by the public defender that it'd all be over. And that's what I was trying to appease my wife and the public defender, and part of me wanted it to be over too. And when the court judge says, well, it's not over, basically paraphrase it, we're going to be calling all these witnesses in to determine this and that, and not witnesses, victims. We want to call all the victims in. And then I knew right there how that circus is going to be, because they're all going to lie, because that's the history we have with all these people. And when I got home, I just sat on my easy chair and I started thinking, and then it came to me. I didn't even have possession when they say I had possession of my vehicle.
Now, your attorney never reviewed the evidence, never bothered to discuss the evidence with you. When you contacted your attorney to let him know, hey, I got some new evidence on this situation, and I would like to take appropriate actions on my case. What was his response?
I did set up a meeting with my wife. We went in there. I even sent him an email previous to that there's new evidence now, and we're changing direction.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want no contest anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I want not guilty now. And it just kind of, we left his office. It just nothing, zilch, zero.
His attitude is, I got you a deal.
I got you a good deal. Let me know what you want to do. Those were his exact words. I kind of thought I explained it to him what I wanted to do, and everything just kind of laid flat. Nothing happened.
What was the evidence and the information that you remembered and you were able to get documentation, physical hard evidence documentation of?
I remember once I finally remembered that the day they told me I had my vehicle and what I was doing, or what they claim I was doing, I didn't have my vehicle. My vehicle was in the shop, having major work done on the body, electrical, different things, because I wanted to sell my car.
It's most likely your car wasn't even operational.
Oh,
at the time when this took
no,
place.
it was at the shop.
And it had been in the shop for at least, let's see, I believe it was 6 days prior to this?
Yeah, I think
6 or 7 days.
I think
26th of
yeah,
December.
26th of December, that's correct. That's when I brought it in. I had that evidence, and I still got it somewhere. I got it.
So your car was in shop. How long was your car in shop for?
About 3 weeks or something. They had some problems getting some of the parts.
Well, we understand the supply chain is
Yeah.
an issue right now. So your car was in the shop 3 to 4 weeks. I remember looking at the documentation. So you reached out to an advocacy group, our advocacy group, and we stepped forward and we reviewed everything. How much time in comparison your previous actual paid attorney versus our advocacy group helping you review all the documentation and understand the police report and the documentation and everything else that they're saying had transpired versus your attorney? How much time did he spend with you on that? And how much time?
There's no comparison. You guys, journalists for justice, you guys in here in Nevada have taken this whole thing to a new level. And if it wasn't for you, who knows? I'd probably be locked up in jail right now on a misdemeanor. My experience with NYE County Sheriff's Office is they're not trained proper. I've been here over 40 years. These people are not trained properly. They listen to anybody that tells them anything. We don't have proper law enforcement in NYE County, and the judicial system is not far behind.
So the deputy, when he came out and arrested you and they did all this, they never bothered to ask you to see the vehicle, did they?
No, that was the other thing when I got thinking, you're right. When they asked me, do I own one? Yeah. Not one time did they ever ask me, because I'm living here, where's it at? So we can search it or we can take pictures.
And they didn't say, on the 1st of January 2024, where was your vehicle? They didn't ask me any of that stuff.
No, they didn't ask me any of that. They didn't seem to care. All it was enough for them is I owned a RAV4, which I admitted to. They can find the I don't know why he even asked me. They got the records of the DMV. They know
Yeah.
It was almost like an entrapment type of thing, I felt like.
So now your attorneys basically blew you off, doesn't want to help you, so now you basically tell him he's fired, correct?
Well, eventually I do ask, I say, what I did was I get the paperwork together, I go down to the courthouse, and I fill out papers that I want to do it pro se. I want to do it by myself now.
Yeah, because you weren't being represented.
If things weren't going the way it was explained to me how it was supposed to go.
Yeah.
So I was changing direction, and I found my mind was jarred. After court. It really snapped, and I'm going I didn't even have my, it hit me like a thing, and so yeah, Yeah, everything started changing on that date. That court date snapped my mental, whatever happened in my mind on that court date.
Now let me ask you a question. So the first time you went to court to try to drop some documents off and do this in pro se, because you now have told your attorney, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing for me, I'm not using you anymore. What happened when your caregiver, because you have to have a caregiver a lot of times when you go out.
Oh, yeah,
What
always.
happened when your caregiver was there with you at the clerk's counter? Because one of our understandings of your disability is you get confused easily, your oxygen levels get low, so you have people help and assist, speak for you in front of various agencies.
Constantly.
What was her reaction?
Well, I was shocked. What happened was I went up with the papers, and they were, as far as I was concerned, looked all legitimate and legible and everything else. Everything was in order. We had gone to get notarized. We did all that. We did everything. And when we got to the clerk's justice court clerk, this lady came out of nowhere, and I've never experienced this before in 40-some years at NYE County Judicial there. She started yelling at the top of her voice. I mean, just loud and screaming. And she even turned to you and like addressed you mainly. Mm-hmm. And I was like in shock. I didn't know what to say. And
we informed her that day that I was there acting as your caregiver because your caregiver was not available and you couldn't go down and do things without someone being present.
That is correct. I always have somebody with me, especially on important matters like court or doctor stuff or planning department. Anytime I have to go something important, I've got to have somebody to help me. Yes, that's correct. Either speaking and describing what I need done, or just so I don't fall down, or to help me drive. Sometimes I can't drive. I'm just not able. Somebody has to drive for me. So
we go through this process. You want to set the paperwork, and then you get in touch with your attorney, if I remember correctly, and tell him to turn in the paperwork to the court that he wants to be removed from the case because he hasn't been doing his job in the first place.
I do. I make a phone call, and or I do an email. Can't remember how it was to them that I need. They want paperwork so we can dissolve our relationship and I can move on. Mm-hmm. And that's, yeah, there was some kind of communication like that. Yeah, I think it was an email how I described it, yeah.
So then that finally gets turned in and you're able to submit your paperwork, and you submitted 3 documents, if I remember correctly, and you're doing this in pro se. One was an affidavit of recusal for the current judge that was sitting on the bench because you've known him for many, many years.
Correct.
And it was appropriate, considering there was another judge in that courtroom, to have him removed from this. And he was also handling your TRO and EPO cases. And then it was reassigned to Judge Michelle Fiore's court, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
And she demanded the attorney present himself before court.
Correct.
Did he do that?
No. There was another time I was yelled at and belittled and screamed at by Fiore. So now I'm getting screamed at again, this time by a judge at the top of her voice. And I'm just like, I'm stunned. I what am I dealing with here? So it took me a few steps back when, so I called my lawyer again and told him, you better get down here. She's upset. I don't know what else to do. And he said he'll be there, and he didn't show up. So
you submitted an affidavit of recusal for Judge Vito. He accepted and went ahead and recused himself, did he not?
That's correct. We have some history. We have 2 judicial review complaints in against him with my wife's situation, and I also have an ongoing appeal for my EPO that was unjustly put on me. And that's what the writ of mandamus is now. My lawyer's in Vegas, they're done with Nye County. They don't want to play with Nye County. They're scratching their head all the time. They don't understand how this stuff happens out here. And so now, I think Wednesday, that'll be mailed off.
So then we're going to shift. So you also submitted a request under state statute because you had not been sentenced, meaning you have not received a sentence, that you would to withdraw your plea. You also filed a request for dismissal, and the dismissal, if I understand correctly, reading what you submitted, is because they have no evidence that you were even there. And you have evidence that shows your car wasn't even in your possession at the time. You just had court, another judge, Judge Sullivan, if I remember correctly, because our group was there observing, why don't you explain what you explained to the court multiple things. He asked you why you would want to withdraw your plea. What did you inform the court?
Yeah, he wanted to know kind of my story right away. By the way, we were the last ones that day in court. No, he had taken 20-some people before us.
Even though they know you're disabled and you're supposed to get priority service.
Correct. Even though I should have probably lawfully been number one, I wasn't. I was the last one. Even my nurse, after 3 hours,
had to leave.
He had to leave. My nurse, he attended, and he wanted to be there for input or output, whatever you want to call it. And he couldn't stay. He had other appointments, so he had to leave. My wife was there. You were there, and so he left. But I tried to explain to Judge Sullivan that I agreed under duress to accept the no contest under the understanding provision that it was going to be over on that day that I went in, and it wasn't. So I tried to explain it to him, and I had to explain my health, a little bit of my health. I don't like telling people all my health problems, which is a lot, but I tried to tell him I don't get enough oxygen sometimes, and I don't breathe right most of the time. And he just listened. He just listened and let me ramble on a little bit. And before I knew it, he basically, from what I gathered, he didn't really come out and say verbatim that he threw out my motion to dismiss and threw out my motion to change a plea. It was pretty much he inferred through his conversation that he was saying that, and then the DA, he piped in and he spoke, and he says right in court, I'm perjuring myself.
And he said you're perjuring yourself because why? Because you, if I understand correctly as the courtroom observer, what he said was that Mr. Dankowski needs to be very careful. He is now perjuring himself because he said to the court that he understood his plea.
No. Like I said, I was under duress. There was a time where the Judge Vito had asked me that, do you understand this, or you understand? I don't remember the exact things, and I said, yeah. I was a little confused, but just for the sake of getting through all this, I agreed. But there was also the time in court where I verbally kind of lash out at the court and raise my hands and say, I just don't understand. And Dexter, whatever her name is, looks at me and then turns around and addresses the court, but says nothing about.
You never hired Dexter.
No, I didn't. That was the first time I ever met her. When she showed up at court, I've never even talked to her, any interaction with her.
So it looks like nobody of any supposed member of the bar has actually looked at your case file, except for the district attorney, and our advocacy group. In reviewing the file, we found there's nothing there. We don't even see how just because someone owns the vehicle that somehow they're involved in this. So let's just wrap this up right now. Explain what you feel has been transpiring on this case and how it has affected you emotionally, physically, and mentally.
Well, it's definitely taken a lot out of, it's a big hiccup in my life. And I got enough to worry about with my health stuff and then stuff related to that. But this whole thing is nothing but a course of conduct over 40 years of the situations I've had with Nye County. This isn't my first rodeo dealing with Nye County. Like I said, 30-some years ago, whatever it was, I was accused of murder. That was pretty much the beginning of my interaction, being accused of murder. And the second time, you know, and I went to jail. They put me in jail, you know, when I got arrested for that. And then it all disappeared like it was a miracle. Jesus came down or something. But then, you know, my dad, that was another major hiccup.
You were his caregiver, correct?
Yeah, I was his caregiver. I took care of him in this house. And when they told me in a rude manner that you're murder. You're getting you know we're looking into this for murder. You're not. That really sent me back.
Was your dad ill?
Oh yeah, he was on hospice. He was sick. Yeah.
So he was on hospice when this all took place.
Oh yeah, he was on hospice. Not only that, yeah, he was on hospice. He couldn't even move his book. He could barely talk. And the other thing was after that all ended, and thank God for the Clark County Coroner's Office. Otherwise, they would have had me in prison, Nye County. Then it was a week or a month later, I get the Nye County at my door again. I was getting investigated, is what they told me, for financial elder abuse. They wouldn't leave me alone. Now it was financial elder abuse. So we had a long conversation about that. Meanwhile, what needs to be brought in, what needs to be said is, during the time my dad was here in this house for 3 weeks, the cops were harassing me. They probably came here in 3 weeks 5 to 10 times.
Why?
Either met him at the gate. They said people were calling up and saying that I was killing him, I was murdering him, he was held against his will.
And
that's what they said.
And hospice was here.
Well, they were coming in and out too. They weren't here with the cops at the same time, no.
But you told them the hospice was here and they have no problem. Here's hospice information, contact them.
Yeah, they knew they all knew that was hospice. Everybody knew it was hospice.
So that all finally goes away. You have to spend a bunch of money getting lawyers and everybody else.
Oh yeah, I'm still involved.
Still involved.
Still 3 years later with that probate and the money, it's not settled.
And now we have a situation where somebody did something, and because you happen to have a car that fits the description of a car that supposedly the person was driving, without any checking on whether or not you had possession of the car, whether
No investigation,
whatever, you now are the guilty person on this, and they entered your home without a warrant.
Correct.
And arrested you on a misdemeanor.
Correct. It was multiple misdemeanors, but a misdemeanor.
Do you feel that we know it's affected you, obviously, and things like that. So obviously we have multiple civil rights violations as it pertains to your disabilities. We have violations of the Constitution, the federal Constitution. We also have violations of the state Constitution, and it also appears there's violations of the local court rules and the state court rules.
That's correct. I've done some looking into it, and you're correct. There's so many violations of civil rights written up, all over this, and
at one point you just wanted this to go away, and you would have been on with whatever you have left and the time you have in your life, and just enjoy and just be with your wife and enjoy your beautiful setting of your home where you live and just be in peace and tranquility. Now you're ready to what?
Now they've declared war, and I'm not one to back down. I backed down during my dad's situation when they came after me 3 years ago. I just don't have it in me anymore to back down. I'm ready to, I'm going forward, whatever I have to do to finally get Nye County away from me and back them off.
So you're ready to go to court?
Oh yeah.
And you're ready to file civil rights violations, constitutional violations, the list just keeps going on and on.
That's correct. That's all going to happen.
Okay. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add to this statement?
No, I'm just, I just want to say to anybody that's listening to this that this town of Pahrump that I moved to 1984 is not the same town anymore that I moved to. This town, I characterize it as Sodom and Gomorrah of the desert. And that's all I can say about it, and I'm done.
Well, we thank you very much for your time, and as you know, our advocacy group, which you actually became a member of, we're going to be submitting a lot of things to a lot of agencies, and we do expect those agencies to step up and do their proper job. And NYE County, it's our understanding that a federal attorney is already looking at your case and is seriously considering taking it. So, well, thank you very much, Greg. We're really sorry that this has happened, and our group is going to do everything we can to get this information out and to let everybody know what is transpiring and to assist in any way we possibly can.
Thank you.